Okay, looks like we are live. Thank you everyone for joining. I'm Harrison, the Director of Fundraising at Start Engine. I'm joined by Kevin O'Leary, as many of you know, Mr. Wonderful, and Harman Van Camp, the CEO of GACW, or Global Air Cylinder Wheels. We're going to structure this as a fireside chat, learning a little more about Harman's company, getting Kevin's take on things, asking both of them some questions. We're going to start off with a quick video about the company, if we can pull that up, and then we'll jump into some questions for Kevin and Harman.
Global Air Cylinder Wheels has reinvented the wheel by introducing an eco-friendly and cost-efficient alternative to the extremely pollutive rubber tire. Once a rubber tire has outlived its usefulness, old tires are often left in landfills, buried or burned, releasing harmful chemicals and heavy metals into water and air. According to National Geographic, tires account for up to 10% of microplastics in the world's oceans. We are changing that. Our air suspension wheels reduce the need for dirty rubber by providing a scalable, cost-effective solution designed to last the full lifetime of the vehicle. The air suspension wheel is an airless mechanical wheel constructed primarily of steel with in-wheel suspension. An industry that uses and disposes of rubber tires at an alarming rate is the mining industry. Off-the-road rubber mining tires only last 6 to 9 months due to their intensive use. On the other hand, air suspension wheels last as long as the vehicle itself and therefore save up to 60% in cost. They're also safer, stronger, and are 100% recyclable. The air suspension wheel underwent extensive field testing and is near commercialization into the projected $30 billion off-the-road tire market. There is great potential in the construction, agriculture, automotive, trucking, bicycle, and even armored vehicle industries. Currently, the air suspension wheel has no direct competitors and has a well-protected patent portfolio. Tire use and its negative environmental impact must change. Help us change the tire industry.
Harman, I'll start with you. Really interesting video there. Can you tell us just a little more about how you came up with this idea and how it's evolved from a concept to change the tire industry to where it is today?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's the invention was actually done by Dr. Zoltan Kemeny. He's an Hungarian mechanical engineer with over 350 written and co-written patents. And I stumbled upon him a couple of years ago. My background is business development and mining. And then I asked around, how big of an impact would this make? And every mining company would come back, if half of it is true, what you're claiming, you're going to radically change everything from production to safety to the environment. So that's when we really got into it and we started testing it on real trucks and loaders.
Great. Kevin, what stands out to you when a founder's challenging a century-old plus technology like this in a global industry?
The risk is adoption. It's always the case. An industry like this has been on tires since its inception, one way or another. And if one player starts adopting it and uses it and sees the merit of it, because you have the challenge of, is it cheaper than just placing another tire on it? But then there's the cost of the environmental issue, which keeps getting escalated up every year. And depending on what state or what geography you're operating in, those costs vary. But if it can perform and gets adoption, then the deal gets de-risked pretty damn fast. And that's really, I think, the question here.
Harman, can you speak to that difficulty of adoption? Why did you choose to start with the mining industry, and what does that initial market adoption looked like for you?
Yeah. So we've done a lot of cold calling at the beginning. So when we started a couple of years ago, obviously no one believed it, because if it's such a good thing, why hasn't the big tire companies, why haven't they done it before? But once they've seen it in the field, as what you can see behind me, and they see the performance and the safety aspect of it, and that we have a lower total cost of ownership of up to 60%, and there's a fuel saving. About 2-3 years ago, we stopped really selling it. We really focused 100% on R&D, because what I would say, Google, the 20th largest tier 1 mining companies in the world, take out the Chinese ones, they're all approaching us for this. This is a really big problem that we solve with our wheels.
Kevin, how do you assess from an investor perspective really disruptive innovations like this, where they're starting to get some traction in market adoption, especially in an industry like mining, where operational efficiency has a very direct impact on profitability?
Yeah, you start by asking, what problem are they solving? So what problems is company solving? And it's twofold. One is obviously the imputed cost of polluting with traditional rubber tires. And then the other problem they could solve over time is, I don't know if you're aware of this, but these tires cost hundreds of thousands of dollars on the big trucks. They're not inexpensive. And it's a very thin market. I mean, you don't have the optionality of 15 tire companies trying to, get your car tire. That's not the case here. These cats and these giant mining machines are very, very unique vertical markets. And so if this product competes on a cost basis, or at least breaks even and solves environmental issues, because every one of these companies, most of them are public. And so they've got some portion of their constituency saying, hey, I don't want to see burning rubber tires or rubber tires in rivers. I mean, this problem is not a small one. It's a big one. And it's been around for a very long time. And the industry, although it has a lot of lobbyists in Washington, gets nailed for polluting in a really big way. The old school pollution, like dirty water and, smokestacks and big scars on the surface of strip mining and all that stuff. It's never been able to escape that issue ever. But, we need the materials. And so you want companies try, as public companies, to solve and show every way they can to innovate. This is no different than the oil and gas companies, that do net gas mining or fracking or drilling for just pure oil. They've had to clean their act up big time. And so no different with mining. But, there are other uses. I found, like bicycles, for example. That sounds interesting. That's a massive market. I mean, that's billions of tires. And so, you wonder where else could the company go, obviously. And one market at a time, get adoption, prove it out, execute on it, and then just keep knocking off with the patents other markets that require a circular tire.
Do you want to speak to Kevin's point there, Harman? What are some of the other markets and verticals you guys are looking at expanding into?
Yeah, so we picked mining because, to Mr. Waterspool's point, mining is such a critical industry. People, if we want to go green, we actually need more mines. We need to mine more commodities. And mining, the reason why we went there is they use these tires relentlessly, 24/7. They're highly expensive, highly inefficient, and effectively on that size behind me, there's basically a duopoly. You got a French company, you got a Japanese company, and that's it. And they work on planned obsolescence. They love it that these tires wear out and break. They're just not made to last. They also are very restrictive. These tires cannot be made any larger. And the reason why trucks are not being made larger by these Komatsus and the Caterpillars in the world is because the tire have reached its engineering envelope. They just cannot make them bigger anymore. And that's where we come in. So with the mechanical wheel, which can be indeed adjusted from wheelchairs to bicycles to cars, buses, trucks, you name it, because it's all can be engineered for now. If it ends up with the right people, we can go into absolutely everything. Now, we're 100% focused on mining now. We do have over 75 issued patents internationally already. There's about 120 still pending. And to Mr. Wonderful's point, patents have a shelf life. We're 100% focused on mining now, but all the other ones could be either licensed or they can be bought out. Because of the efficiency within the wheel, because it reduces fuel and energy consumption, this would be perfect for the EV market, for example, where you get higher efficiency out of it. Batteries will last longer by just changing the wheel. And if you look at the whole car, everything gets innovated on. And the car companies don't innovate on tires because they just buy tires. And the tire companies don't want it because, we're giving them a wheel that's rebuildable, scalable, and recyclable. And they're not interested in that. But as Mr. O'Leary said, we're being forced now to clean up. And in a way, I'm happy with that, because throwing away, depending on which data you take of it, what data you look at, globally, it's anywhere between 1 billion and 1.5 billion tires a year, which is absolutely ridiculous. So that's really, safety, environment, costs are really the reasons why we're going after. Again, we're 100% focused on mining, but the other ones are definitely of high interest of us as well.
Kevin, speaking of that large total addressable market, the global tire industry, how would you assess GACW's ability to expand its technology into these adjacent industries?
Well, because the tire industry is a very mature market and very established players in there, if a new technology works and adoption starts, it's almost that there's no customer acquisition cost, because the word gets out within the industry that this technology works, it's effective, and it's being used by one competitor or another. And then the only thing the company has to do is provide the option for the new entrant to try it, to test it. Program. Most companies that have something disruptive allow new customers a trial period, and as soon as the hardest is to get the first customers. That's really tough, because these machines are really expensive. They operate almost 24 hours a day, and that determines the output of the mine. I mean, obviously some machines are down being maintained, but you want everything up and running. And if you're going to try something, you want it to work right away. And if it does work, then it gets quickly adopted, and obviously it goes through the maintenance procedures and everything else. And over time, they determine what the real cost of maintaining it is. And all that information is invaluable. And so within that vertical, if it's mining that these are being engineered for, the adoption will be very quick if it does what the promise is. It's because this problem's not going away. It's just not going away. And by the way, these tires don't get cheaper. If they're manufactured outside of the country, they're dealing with at least a 15% tariff on them as well. So, there's a lot of issues around the sustainability of these things, and we've talked about that, but they go obsolete pretty fast. They get depending on what mine is, and what tailings they're mining, what are they driving over? Is it bitumen? It's a little easier than on iron filings. They fall apart almost right away. I mean, I don't know how many people are listening have been to a mine. I have, because I invest in the mining industry. These are massive, massive, massive tires, and they get the living crap kicked out of them very quickly.
Harman, do you want to speak first to where you actually manufacture your tires, and then talk about Kevin's comment on the difficulty of initial adoption? You've tested these tires with partners. They've actually been deployed. What have those initial results looked like?
Yeah. I call it tariff resistance because these wheels are mechanical, and it consists out of 5 main components. We can switch very quickly to local manufacturing. So if we have, let's say we're dealing with a United States iron ore mine in Minnesota, we can switch very quickly that if they say, and mines like this, they want to have 30-40% local produced goods in any type of whatever they have on mine site. So we can switch very quickly to local manufacturing because they're all components. So we're kind of tariff resistant to begin with. Speaking on adoption, obviously the first one was the most difficult one. We have tested it in Elko, Nevada. We have done extensive testing in South Africa. We've done testing in Chile. We've done testing in Australia, in the Pilbara area. We actually have the first customers paid for, even though there were only trial versions of these wheels. And they knew that, hey, we want to help you out bringing this to fruition and to the final R&D stage, so we can start buying them. And what we did to as a give and take or quid pro quo, is we've given them the first right of refusal on these first versions. So if you look at the one behind me, the 994, there's a company that has invested in it. We've shown that the market wants this. The problems we've solved for them and how it worked in the field was just absolutely phenomenal. Just the fact, and a lot of people don't know this, that you can't have a tire blowout anymore. You're 11 times more likely to have a fatal accident in a tire bay than anywhere else in the mine site. These things, when they blow up, I took a picture on a mine site here in British Columbia on a bulletin board, and it said, this size tire, if it blows up, it will propel a 200-pound man 11 football fields in the air. So we're solving real problems, and not only from an environmental perspective, but definitely from a safety perspective. Yeah, this is going to become a must. It's just, that's the only way I can see it. It's going to happen. And we've had these conversations with inspectorates that they say, hey, look, if this can avoid fatalities and this can avoid safety issues, it's going to be mandated sooner or later.
Kevin, what does it signal to you when large-scale operators, industry leaders in the mining industry are already adopting and testing a new core technology?
Well, there hasn't been a lot of innovation in tire manufacturing in quite a while, actually. I mean, obviously, iron mesh came in after a while and helped on the puncturing stuff. But in this space, I don't think there's a lot of people doing R&D for these big cats. I mean, it hasn't been done. There's been some innovation around the money spent on F1. I was looking at some technology there to enhance performance of race cars that are, obviously that's a very big industry, but it's not this. This is efficiency for. I agree with the safety metric, but really, I think the pressure for the miners is, how come you're not trying? What are you doing to solve this problem? That image in that video of millions of tires in a flooded area. That's a bad image. It says it all right there. And if I'm a CEO of a large mining operator, I would like to tell my shareholders and the people who buy my product that I have solved for this problem, and here's how I did it. And so I kind of agree with Harman that probably once you get 10% adoption, then you get geometric growth of adoption, and you could end up with 50% of the market pretty quickly, particularly with patents. And then if the service and maintenance is good and the company executes, you're making it's the biggest thing is it solves a big problem. No mining operator wants to enhance cost or go through any change whatsoever if they're not solving a problem. They don't care, but they have to care about this. It's not an option. That's the great thing about it. So it's a very interesting deal from that perspective. I mean, you talk about it. The key is it's like someone getting into the insurance business. Which commodity should I insure? And until you figure out how to do it with one commodity, you can't be an insurer for every commodity. And that's why I'm saying do the mining first. It's a big pain point. It's a big market. And the companies have the CapEx to be able to buy this product. You haven't said anything, Harman, about the price of what this costs. Do you know yet?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a good point. There is a higher upfront cost, but most mines don't care about that. They run on operating costs. What's your operating costs? What's your total cost of ownership? We typically see, because we reduce rolling resistance, and it's a fuel saving effect in there as well. When we do the total cost of ownership calculation, it's typically a payback within 18 to 20 months. 18 to 20 months, yeah. As you said, these rubber tires, people underestimate how expensive they are. They rack up into the tens of thousands of dollars. And our wheels are designed to last as long as the vehicle does, with the only replaceable part is the part that you wear off, which are those pads. So there's a bit of a maintenance component to it. The beauty of this is with a tire, you just don't know when a tire blows. Our wheel can be maintained whilst the vehicle is in regular maintenance already, which is all production time. So there's less production loss. So over the total life of the vehicle, we've seen on the low end 24% savings. And if you really had bad conditions, we've seen total cost of ownerships of our wheels compared to rubber tires of 50, 60% less over, again, the lifetime of that vehicle and over the lifetime of that wheel. The problem with a rubber tire is once it blows, it blows. There's not much in between. Our wheels are modular. So if there's a tread that goes, you replace that tread and you put it back on again. That's at a fraction of a cost of replacing an entire tire. So safety is a huge thing, environment is a huge thing, but no one is going to buy it if it's not, like you said, equally or cheaper or more efficient and cost effective. These wheels have a very, very, very efficient total cost of ownership in that sense.
Kevin, what's your response as an investor, right, to Harman's commentary on the pricing there, the actual problems they're really solving within the mining industry and potentially others? How do investors evaluate that? Is that a compelling value proposition?
Yeah, that is actually, because mining operators look at, what their operating costs are. They want to reduce them as much as they can, increase output efficiency, how much time and productivity each piece of equipment has in actually extracting the commodity they're mining. I mean, remember, these mines are multi-billion-dollar projects. They're massive. And I mean, I don't know if you've I've visited, where they mine bitumen for oil or where they dig out for diamonds, and it's huge scale. And so it's not traditionally what does it cost to replace the tire. It's how many hours of downtime do you avoid by using this technology. That is pretty easy to calculate once you've had a time to had a chance to try it. And then I agree with the whole thing about these tires exploding. They'll kill you if you're near them. I mean, they're like small bombs. And the actual shrapnel, the tire fragments are like, they weigh as much as an iron. And when they hit you, they'll kill you. These are dangerous. You don't want to be walking around near these things. They're 4 times the height of an average guy. I mean, they blow you to pieces. And I'm sure that's happened and it's horrible. But, if you can avoid one death that way is enough for a CEO to say, I don't want to take any chance with that if I can avoid it. This technology doesn't blow up. And so you probably, after a few months of operating, figure out how long these pads last, depending on what your ground structure is like. And then how many hours you have to maintain. You can calculate that. This stuff's all done in a spreadsheet. So I kind of agree that you start with this vertical. It's a very attractive one because you can really measure the efficiency. And then when the word gets out to competitors, that's when you start to get geometric growth. And I think the patents are very valuable because obviously you could license this to other tire manufacturers or other verticals. If you don't want to go to the bicycle market, give it to a large bicycle manufacturer. That's very attractive. And if they perform that well, it's a very interesting option.
Harman, we have a question from the audience. What do your ongoing R&D costs look like, considering that these new tools may have to be developed for OEMs to actually validate your technology at the system level, at the vehicle level? Are you experiencing that as you expand, as you sort of get deeper into the mining market?
So these wheels are perfectly retrofittable, and we use off-the-shelf bolting and nuts and bolts and everything. So there's no new special tools. Even a tire handler can do this. And the biggest question I always get, there's steel wheels that must be heavier. Well, we've got some brilliant engineers. These wheels actually come in 8 to 10% lighter than a rim and a rubber tire it replaces. So that again increases the production, on your gross vehicle weight, and now you can carry around more ore. So there's no new tools needed. It's very easy to install. Once they're on, maintenance is done during the typical maintenance interval of the vehicle. And to Kevin's point, it's production. They want to bring it from 20 hours a day to 22 hours a day. That's huge. For 22 and a half, just because you don't have any uncertainties on these unprogrammed tire failures. So that's really where we're busy at. Now, very important, we've done 9 years of R&D, and these are big toys for big boys. They're not, it takes a long time to figure these things out, but we believe we're there now. There will always be product improvement. Even now during the last tests, we had brilliant feedback from the operator. He literally said, quote unquote, this is phenomenal, shorter braking distance, tighter cornering, he can go faster. All that worked out really brilliantly well. So now we're already looking into, hey, how can we extend the life of XYZ component? How can we make it more accessible for the maintenance? How can we put in auto loop systems? So instead of 6 points, you've got only 1 point per wheel, for example, to loop. So, but these are fun projects to work on because we don't have to validate that the wheels work anymore. We've passed that now. We're really getting into how can we make this as comfortable and as easy for the clients to adopt it, put it on the wheels, put it on and drive off and just enjoy the ride. Just a funny feedback on that. People ask as well, how different does it feel? The operator that we worked on in Minnesota, he said, it's as if I'm changing an Oldsmobile to a BMW M3 race car. I've got so much more control. It's quicker to start. I can actually brake, even though I'm on an incline downhill. I would never be able to do that on a rubber tire. So the stability it gives it's just been phenomenal so far.
Kevin, question for you. Harman mentioned they're through 9 years of R&D. They're past validation. For investors, how should they be thinking about an investment opportunity at this stage in a company that's trying to optimize this critical industry that's had so little innovation in the past?
I think execution is really what's required now. That's it. I mean, I say that to so many entrepreneurs that I deal with. I mean, Harman's either going to deliver or he's going to fuck it up. That's basically on him. And so investors take a bet on the CEO. And so you got to set milestones. You got to deliver on them. And then as these milestones are met, I think there's more and more investor confidence because I think it's quite obvious the opportunity. I mean, he's done a good job today of explaining what this deal is and what the opportunity is. And now I'd say, more than half the risk is simply executional risk. And given 9 years of working on it, I think you're making a bet on the jockey here. I think the horse is a pretty good racehorse. The jockey's got to win the race. It's that simple. It's a great analogy, I think, for this.
Harman, as we come to the close here, you're currently raising capital. What are you looking to achieve with this raise, and why equity crowdfunding? Why are you looking to connect with everyday investors?
Yeah, it's actually an interesting point that Mr. Wonderful made there. We're actually raising money to put in that corporate structure for execution. We've done our footwork. We're really raising money to get an ISO system in there, quality management systems. We need to secure our supply chain. So we're really working hard in the background to put the right people in the right places. We've got a phenomenal team because obviously I'm the CEO, but I bet on my team, and none of them has got less than 20, 25 years experience in their fields. They've got PhD levels, they've got their own patents. I mean, these people have run their own businesses. It's just highly qualified people now that are going to run the show together as a team moving forward. Why equity crowdfunding? It just resonates so well. I've been trying to go out to VCs that either want to see a small improvement on a tire or a small improvement on a vehicle. This is such a radical, disruptive change that it resonates so well with the public, and you can see that on Start Engine back in 2021. I think we had, correct me if I'm wrong, one of the most phenomenal days ever. We completely hockey sticked out one day, and today, everybody's talking about it. It's just such a great platform. I love it that a lot of my investors, I've got hundreds of them, they come in and they give me a call every now and again. They write me, hey, have you thought about this? You shouldn't say recyclable. These wheels are rebuildable. That brings a lot of value for the vehicle. If you can rebuild stuff and just, we need to get rid of this whole recycling stuff, rebuild and use it until infinity. So it just resonates super well. It's been highly successful. And this is our third raise of Start Engine. You guys put in the work for us, and I think it's reciprocal that we like each other in that sense. So yeah, that's what we do. So thank you.
Kevin, final thoughts to you. What would you leave listeners with in terms of GACW's potential, your overall thoughts on the deal?
I like the deal. I like dress is a huge problem. It's a massive market. I also, the reason I'm involved with Start Engine and an advocate for the platform and a shareholder in it is that it does serve, as Harman said, a very good function. It really levels the playing field. I don't in a deal like this, I don't like having VCs having some kind of a preference, some special share over the early investors or employees that did the work to bring the nascent technology to where it can be adopted, which is what they often ask for. I mean, look, I am a VC. I know all the structures. I know how it works, but this kind of says, look, if you're in this for the long run, you believe in the vision, you think the team can execute, we'll put you on the level playing field with us, beside us. There's no special deal for one class of shareholders and not for you. That's what's so great about equity crowdfunding. So it really fits in this case. And then, the shareholders that like the milestones being hit and watch this technology being adopted will benefit. Obviously this company, if it executes, is going to do quite well. It's solving a big problem. I mean, it's always the best to say, how big is the problem? The problem's big. Like, it's really big, and it's not going away. This isn't, one social media platform that's going to replace another. This is like a massive industrial problem with an innovative solution that requires adoption in a very, very big market. So I think today's exercise has been well done in just getting the opportunity in front of people.
Great. Well, Harman, Kevin, thank you both for your time. Thank you, everyone, for listening. If you have any questions, you can check out GACW's offering at startengine.com/offering/GACW. Thanks all.
Got it. Take care. Thanks. Nice meeting you.
Nice meeting you.